Hey guys, still here and welcome back to Wargame. It's going to be my second stab at one of these hero unit follows. So, welcome to the hero of today, the Vickers Mark 11. This is Dawson, hence the title of the video. Now, I'm going to be following this guy up close, potentially hiding the HUD every now and then, but it is more interesting if you see what is going on, although I might be doing it at an angle like this, so that you get a bit more about what the unit itself is doing and not so much about what's going on with the rest of the battle. Now, as a bit of an overall view before I go in too deep with the zoom, he's going to be operating on this side of the map. So you know more or less where we are and where we're going. The rest of the map is of course where the capture sectors are, but these areas on the left and the far right can be pretty important. This one I'd say more so than this one, because this is where the enemy spawn is, as opposed to Foxtrot. So that makes this approach towards Foxtrot slightly less interesting than it would be to Echo. Alright, let's kick it off. The Vickers Mark 11, in case you are not familiar with it, it is a very lightly armed or lightly armored vehicle. It doesn't have a whole lot going for it, at least not in the form of protection. Come here, Dawson, thank you. The Vickers Mark 11 does have, however, I believe it's an L55, no sorry, an L7A3 gun, 60% accuracy, 55% on the move, so this thing can fire almost as accurately if doing that 100 kph off-road speed, or even 50 kph amphibious, as it would be sitting still. AP of 17 is not the best. You're not going to be one-shotting tanks. Tanks, however, will be one-shotting you, because you got 2 front armor, 2 side armor, 1 back and 1 top. So anything that remotely resembles an IFV with an autocannon can take this thing down, let alone a tank. A tank is going to take a couple of shots, maybe one to actually get the range in, and then a second one to actually kill. And I gotta say, I really like the look of this vehicle. I think I've remarked once or twice in the video that if I could trade in my car to get one of these, I would. Not sure if they're going to be accepted on the Dutch highways, but at least you probably wouldn't have the same tailgating problem that you sometimes do. Anyway, the Vickers Mark 11, as far as I'm concerned, distinguishes itself also because of its amphibious capability. And that is something that could come in very, very handy. Because you do have this, well, I'm pointing to the map. This river, you can sort of see it on the map. This river is going to give some options. Also because the riverbed's a little lower than the actual river side. And with that, you can more or less, depending on how good the enemy position is, get rid of line of sight. Now, unfortunately, there is a jet flying overhead. And that is usually not a good sign. Because there we go, there's an Mi-24, an Mi-24 Delta, and an Mi-8. This is not something that Dawson is interested in fighting, so he goes right back around, and he is here to link up with the A8 defenses that were brought in. A couple of RBS-70 Stollies. These guys do need to get into range, and the Mi-8 is probably not remotely interested in getting too close to these guys. That is, if they can see them at all. So the Stollies are camped out on the side of the road, waiting for further action. And in the meanwhile, it seems that the Aslav has spotted the command vehicle over there. So it's time for Dawson to turn around and go hunting a command vehicle, because that is a 100-point kill, and you don't want a command vehicle running around rampant on the side of the map. So he aims, acquires the target, gets ready, one-shots it. Immediately turns veteran, because he scored a kill of 100 points, and it's a 45-point vehicle. So the XP multiplier pretty much kicks in right away, and there you go, veteran, which boosts his accuracy even further. Now we still have a helicopter problem somewhere, but the big question is where. I think they disappeared over to the horizon there somewhere. So unfortunately right now, Vickers, or Dawson over here in his Vickers, cannot do much about it, nor can the RBS-70s. So it's time to just proceed towards the enemy base, and let's see what we can do from out there. In the meanwhile, if you're keeping an eye on the map, you can more or less make out what's going on. Red currently on 500, blue on 305, and that's including a command vehicle kill, so it's not terribly interesting. In the meanwhile, however, the helicopters are coming back. The Mi-24 Delta and the Mi-8. The Aslavs, with their infantry, Actually, their infantry is offloaded. Where are the stollies? Hello? Here. Here are the stollies. AA teams quickly being brought into position because we need those helicopters dead. One of these groups is going to survive, by the way. Danielson is going to survive. What are you doing? It's going to survive the whole battle. They're engaging a different air target. Might be the Su-27, and now they're going for the helicopter. The Vickers, interestingly, with the machine gun, gets the kill. Next target, Mi-24D. Reacquiring. Hit. 2 hits. These things pack a lot of armor and are not going to go down this quick. Fortunately, Dawson over here is in cover, and the escorting AA infantry take out the helicopter, so now Dawson should be safe to move up. In case you're not quite clear where we are on the map, we're here. And this is where Echo is, this is where the enemy spawn is. These things, fortunately, also come with a really big fuel tank. They have an autonomy of 1,000 kilometers, which, in case like this, you're operating on a remote flank, which also sees quite a lot of cover that is going to slow you down, yet in which you will continue to burn fuel, is very, very handy. Now it's time to catch up with the rest of the forces. The Aslav is already in a sort of overlooking position, trying to figure out what's going on in this open area. The Stolly, the RBS-70s are being loaded up in the Aslav, and in case you're wondering whatever came out of the Aslav, well, that would be the Commandos 90, which are operating here. Notable is that he's not just operating here, he also has some infantry on this side, but I think most of the attention from Krachundweg was on the Vickers and escorting the units. Now, he has 23 rounds left out of the original 24. Let's see how much damage we can do here. Interestingly, yet another air patrol flies over. Another couple of, and I'm trying to keep these things in frame, Su-27 PUs. There you can see them, up ahead, 2 elites. You could fire at them with the RBS-70s, but your chances to hit are not great. And they pop a couple of flares, take some return missile fire, but dodge everything. Besides, it's not really Dawson's problem. A couple of jets, they are not going to attack him, most likely, and he is definitely not going to attack them. Getting pushed a little out of position here by his escorting Aslav 25, that's the recon vehicle. And between the two of these, they should be able to plant a nice ambush here on the side of the road and the side of the river, where the bridge leads right to the spawn point, over there. This one's going to do the spotting. It has good optics. This one has medium optics, but has the gun. And considering that everything on here spawns, then crosses the bridge, you're going to get side shots. Of course, he's not going in alone. He also has his escorting Stolly, Aslav, and AA infantry. And in case the enemy spawns in a helicopter, that could come in very, very handy, because that is something that the Vickers nor the Aslav will do very well against. The Aslav arguably a lot better, because it still has an autocannon and can do damage against helicopters. The Vickers very much not, because it only has a Browning, and that is very, very risky if you want to take down a helicopter with that. So we're more or less in position. He's getting quite close, and I was a little wondering about whether he's going to try and take this position, because that would be way too close. But no, he's holding here. And we got our first victim. It's not exactly nice to not capture supply trucks, but here we are. You can see him following the target. And I think he just went out of range. But there's another thing. And it gets killed for 15 points. Now, somebody said on the previous video that I did, that was the last stand battle, you should do it without the HUD. This is what that looks like. This looks pretty, but you have no idea what's going on. Now, I said that the jets aren't going to be too much of a problem, but this Su-27 seems to think very much different about that, and does try to do a gun run on the Vickers. Although he doesn't even have an exact position, he did, well, sort of force the Vickers to move. Even though the Vickers was not hit, the Aslav was not hit, it is, well, slightly safer to get going. Because it does know, or it does mean that they have somewhat of an idea what is going on here. Now he backs up into position, not really too eager to pick a fight with the T-55, at least not yet. And once again, a jet flies over. Once again, seemingly doing a gun run. This time around, the Stollies with the RBS-70s are in position. And the RBS-70s did fire a couple of missiles, but SU-27s are just really, really slick buggers, and they're very hard to kill. Alright, what do we have here? What do we have here? Again, if I don't have the HUD, this is what you would be looking at. Now, you could go in, if you're really ambitious, and figure out that this is a smirch. But I would have to be moving across the map the entire time, like this, and that would make a replay about 3 hours long. This is the Aslav. See, I can barely find the Vickers again. So turning off the HUD, sure, it's nice, but it's also completely impossible if you want to be doing a replay on it. And moreover, a commentary. Where the hell is the Aslav? Here we are. Anyway, a smirch is a juicy target. He fires and he kills. That's 140 points, and he just now went elite. Next target. Again, no idea what it is, but unfortunately didn't quite get hit. There's a T-55, and the T-55 has acquired. Incoming round. Dawson backs away, fires a round in return, crippling the T-55, makes it back into cover, and backs up deep into these woods, because he's really not interested in picking a fight with a T-55 up close. Now this is when a BMPT shows up. Pretty dangerous units to use, especially dangerous if you're driving a Vickers, because the BMPT has an autocannon, and the 2A70 could, with 3 HE, possibly also do quite a bit of damage against the Vickers. So Dawson's gonna have to play this safe. He fires, pulls back into cover. The BMPT returns fire, but does not quite get a couple of autocannon rounds on target. And once again, he falls right back into cover, leaving the BMPT on half health. For the moment, it seems to be going quite well. If you can dash out again, spot him again, and then hit him again, he is likely going to kill him. So let's try and see if that's going to work out. Now the Aslav is in its hidey position over here. You could really barely make out this vehicle if you're not exactly looking for it. I mean, this is what it looks like. Or rather, from the enemy perspective, this is what it looks like. You'd have to be really hard-pressed to find a vehicle in here. And this is what I think looks great. I mean, it makes for great screenshots, but commentary is going to be so hard. Anyway, BMPT moving across the river. I'm not sure if it's the same one. Didn't quite catch it in time. Once again, Dawson tries to come out to get a shot off, but unfortunately doesn't get the opportunity because the vehicle moved out of range. There is some other stuff out here though, including an Mi-24D. So probably the RBS-70s are going to get busy again. This one, however, only has 1 missile left. And the other team has 2 missiles. Between the 3 of them, that is going to be a little risky. You'd have to hit every shot. Now, time to cross the bridge. In case you're wondering what bridge, this bridge. Pretty close to Echo and on the edge over here of Charlie, because he has spotted a target of opportunity. A Buratino. If you can get rid of that thing in a tactical, then you're depriving the enemy not just of a load of points, but also of a very dangerous weapon to be used against all the infantry that's likely hiding out here in the forest. First off, a bit of a random kill, a 10-point vehicle, but there was a command vehicle in there, or command infantry. So that was 110 points. Now he is right in the thick of it, taking out targets left and right as far as they get spotted. There's another hit, that seems to be a T-55. He's using his machine gun to go after a supply truck. Killing off the supply truck and depriving the Buratino, if it's still alive at this stage, of further resupplies. There's the T-55, he kills the T-55, takes some return fire from an unidentified unit. Considering that the unidentified unit is firing at it, it could be risky. And now he takes a big hit. The ZTZ-80 gets a shot in. He backs out of range, panicked and everything. Tries to get a return shot in, but doesn't. Once again, a jet flies over. And now it's time to use that amphibious capability, and this is what I was talking about. The river is slightly lower than the river bed, or than the river side, which means that in here you're safe. You're not concealed, but at least line of sight is going to be difficult. So it's time for Dawson to back up for a bit, because he's taken a lot of damage. He's down to 9 rounds of ammunition, and if he goes for the fight right now, he is likely going to die. He simply doesn't have the hit points to sustain a fight like this. But he's not quite giving up yet. He really wants that Buratino. Reloads. Reloads are a little faster since the unit is shaken. Come on, one more round. Fires again and kills the Buratino. I'm thinking that there is a lot of Blue 4 infantry in there that is very happy about this. He is still not done fighting. He takes out another recon unit, despite the fact being very low on ammunition and very low on hit points. Acquires another target. That's a transport. Killed. And once again it's time to go, because that ZTZ-80 could very well be coming after him. It looks like it's making a beeline for Dawson over here. So it's time for Dawson to once again hit the river, cross the river, and get the hell out of Dodge. And even though it's not that fast in the water, it is very, very quick outside the water. Outside the water it's doing 100 kph off-road. So that tank is never going to catch it. Other units might, but seemingly Red currently doesn't have any other units at the moment. So right now, he should be safe. He's going to hold position here for a bit. 5 rounds remain, and he's going to wait for a Unimog cargo to come in. Now, a quick look at the rest of the battle as the Vickers is being repaired. Blue has taken up a good position over here and is making a push on Charlie. In the meanwhile, Gulf is lost. And not just a little lost, they don't have any footholds here. Everything is gone. The next defensive line is being set up over here. And that's all they got. They got a Milan, they got a Merkava 2 with recon inside. Chugata 2, Chugata with recon, and a couple of BTR 152s with fire support infantry. And some infantries in here. That's it. So while Blue is doing good work here, Red is doing good work here. And they could be sort of sector swapping if this process keeps up. Now the Aslav with the infantry over here, the recon infantry, I believe that was Danielson. He's being loaded up and being brought back as well. The Aslav, while having good autonomy, does need a refuel. It is only down to 66, 65, and it's taking fire moreover. That seems to be autocannon fire. That could be a BMPT. Unfortunately, Dawson is not really in a position to defend that Aslav. The Aslav seems to be making it away from the combat area. And for some reason he dropped off the infantry. Maybe because the infantry was close enough? I don't know. Anyway, something else that we're missing over here is the spotter. The Aslav 25 reconnaissance vehicle died. And with the death of that unit, spotting is down to these units, which all have medium optics. Or actually poor optics on the part of the Aslav. The Vickers has medium, and the infantry also has medium. So maybe he's using the RBS-70 as a makeshift spotter for the Vickers, I'm not really sure. And I think he's a little bit more focused on what's going on in here, because he has commandos and assault pioneers. These guys are also going to be requiring quite a bit of micromanagement, because they will need to cross right into the open arms of a napalm tank. Now this is where the battle gets really risky, because Dawson is now engaged with the BMPT. He seems to take another hit. The BMPT is down to 1 hit point. He has 2 rounds left. 93% accuracy. Make it count. Fires again, kills the BMPT. He's down to 1 round and 2 hit points. He'd better not get engaged again. And I think that this was more of a reflex from the Vickers than an actual combat order. Because he's not pulling back into the forest. I would get that Vickers deeper into this forest. Because if a jet or a bomber flies in and does either a gun run or a pure ammunition drop on him, well, you're not going to survive that. And losing this Vickers right now, oh, it would be such a waste. It's such a good unit, and it's performed very, very admirably lately. Now, let's speed things along until this guy is going to get back to moving. Because we're not here for the rest of the battle. We're here for the Vickers. So the rest of the battle rages on. And Lots is happening on the side of blue. They're making good moves right into Charlie. They found a command vehicle. Resupply should be coming in any minute now. Yep, it's here. The Unimog cargo has resupplied the Vickers, but not much. It's down to 3 hit points and 10 rounds of ammo. So for the moment, yes, it could be considered combat worthy, but it's even weaker than it was. Sure enough, it gained 1 hit point back, but is that enough? Now, the scores for blue and red are still very close. Blue is currently sitting on almost 4,000, red on 3,500. Let's see how they're doing over here. Blue is pushing back into Gulf after having severely clustered the buildings over here and the tree line over there. Blue is also making great moves into Charlie. So for the moment it seems like they're getting really, really deep. And interestingly, a K1 from Ronin made it almost entirely the way into Echo. So he's been doing a load of damage over there. And it's not the first time. Now a Mankate comes in, and with that, hopefully we can get the Vickers on the road again. Because this thing is not done yet. Ammo resupplied, health resupplied, and Dawson is ready for another day of war. We just gotta wait for an opportunity to send this unit in. And again, I think he's more busy micromanaging the units over here than he was at the Vickers at the moment. The Vickers now has a new buddy. The new buddy is in the form of, right here, an Aslav S. Exceptional optics. 55-point recon unit. Very poorly armed, very poorly armored as well. But if this guy, Carthew, can be spotting for Dawson, then between the two of them they can do great things. His gun, his eyes, I see opportunities here. Especially since we're once again quite close to the spawn of the enemy. And once again, a unit has just spawned in, but is not currently the target, because he went for a 35-point AA unit? Question mark? Yeah, that was a Shilka. Once again, trying to get the transport. Yep, get the transport and the 15-point infantry unit inside. Pretty risky staying out in the open, and he is not feeling too confident about that. Pulling back into cover. A couple of gunships fly over. MI2, I think I saw at least 2 of these. We still have the RBS-70 over here in position. Danielson. Danielson, however, is definitely not in range, because the RBS-70 has a decent range. 26-25, but is not good enough. Although that helo is coming closer. So, if it keeps doing the maneuver towards this side, then Danielson is probably pretty eager to take a shot at it. But it seems to be busy taking Maljutka shots at... well, beats me. And it went down. MI2 is no longer considered a problem. But we have others which are. There's a BTR-80 moving into position, and it's an elite BTR-80. BTR-80 gets taken down, 15 points. BTR-80 can be quite difficult to kill, or at least dangerous for the Aslav, because it does come with an autocannon. Spetsnaz Gru apparently survived the killing, and not the second killing, because this one was just not quite done with the job yet. T-72A could have been a perfect side shot. Side armor on the T-72A is not bad, 50 or 7 points, but I don't think it would have killed it outright. Potentially. Or it would have done severe damage to it, but it's safer to pull back into cover and wait for other opportunities to strike. We still have the Aslav S over here, right behind the corpse of the other vehicle. It is a nice spotting place, I gotta give you that much. But it's also pretty risky to be using the same cover location. Alternatively though, you don't really have too many other positions. You could be sitting over here, and I think that considering this thing has exceptional optics versus the good optics that the other one had, it would still be good enough. But, yeah. You can go either way with this. You could argue this is not a safe position because they know you've used it before. You might use it again. The Aslav S, however, does immediately get a very good identification on whatever gets spawned in here. Vickers takes a shot at the Grom, taking out the Grom. And for some reason a Lynx thinks it's a good idea to take care of a Topaz of 5 points. That's his choice. I think they were just trying to flank around with the helicopters, the Lynx 3 and the AH-7. And the battle is pretty much wrapping up. We're down to 3 minutes of gameplay left. And I'm not sure if... Oh yeah, it's going to get a little more exciting here. Because an Akula spawns in. Immediately pulls Dawson back into cover. And this time it's Danielson's move. Danielson taking shot at the Akula. Another missile goes in and the Akula dodges it. Another missile flies by, missing it again. Once again trying to reacquire the helicopter. This one strikes home. And there goes the Akula. That is 150 points down to earth. So that's another very good kill. Could have been the end of Dawson here. Could have very easily killed him off, but he survived, thankfully. Because I really would have not wanted this guy to die as quickly as that. Simply in the last 2 minutes down to a helicopter. Nope, he survived. He's still here. And even the Aslav S has survived as well. Takes out another Conkers. And at this point, it is just get whatever you can. So Dawson rushes in with the escorting eyes of his Aslav S. Crosses the river. Once again, amphibious capabilities are really nice of this unit. Turns off the main gun, only going in with the Browning. Arguably a Browning is enough to kill a command vehicle. Looks like he's going in parade mode, raising the gun. And I gotta give it to him. Parade mode in this situation would not be pretty bad. It'd be warranted. And so ends the game. Krach und weg. 1126 kills, or points in kills, and 180 points in losses. Now, let's see what Dawson did. 1, 2 command vehicle kills. Then, a couple of transports, XA-185, BTR-60, Scott, another transport truck, MTLBV, another transport, BTR-80 that the Spetsnaz crew was using. Lots of transports. But more importantly, high-value units. A Smerch, a Buratino. The Spetsnaz GRU can be arguably quite a high value, especially infantry-wise. Grom, nice kill there to make sure that the helicopters didn't get shot down while they were assisting him. Conquers in the last possible minute of the battle. Very, very good performance. 1 Vickers. They're not expensive. They are very effective. At least if you can keep them alive, and that is usually the challenge of these things. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the replay. Let me know what your thoughts are on how I covered this one, because it was a little different as to the previous hero unit that I got. Because this one I used a bit more of the HUD, as opposed to completely turning it off. I personally liked this a bit more than I did the previous, and I hope you do too. Let me know down below in the comments. And of course, if you like the video, if you like my content in general, I can use your support. I'm very, very close to doing this full time. And with a couple more Patreon supporters, I could do it. So if you like my stuff, then please consider becoming a patron. Link down below in the description. Thank you guys, have a good weekend, and I will catch you soon for more content.